Hi, are you an author in the middle of self-publishing your next book? Somewhere along the process, you've probably heard about creating an audiobook. You've been encouraged to make an audiobook. You know friends who've made the investment in creating an audiobook, but you can't bring yourself to get started because getting into the technical weeds just seems too daunting. But what if we could take that all away? What if we could remove 90% of the technical barriers, so all you would have to do is show up to the microphone and record? Or maybe you don't want to record your own audiobook. That's totally fine too. We have an experienced team of professional narrators that would love to audition for your audiobook. Our Done For You service guarantees that you will have a professionally produced audiobook ready for commercial release. If you're ready to get started today, please click the link below and schedule a free call. We can't wait to hear from you and to get started on your project.
Hello and good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody into another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us. That was Steve over at Audio Masters, one of our sponsors here. As always, we are sponsored by Soul Sunshine.
Yay.
Be sure to visit us at soulsunshine.com if you are an author and you need to be published, or you need some author services, or you're just interested in knowing more about what we published. Everything. How you doing, Susan?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
It's been like this, like, exciting, crazy, but like so much stuff going on week. A little warm, but you know, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's warm here too, but that's Texas for you.
Yeah. We've had some moisture the past couple of days, some rain and everything like that. So it's been nice to cool things down.
Our pastor had to tell a joke about Texas this morning in the sermon. He said, don't ever ask a man if he's from Texas. He says, because if he's from Texas, he'll tell you. And if he's not, you don't want to embarrass him.
Okay. Well, I'm not from Texas.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. We do have a very special guest today. Her name is Dawn Candid. She is a very special person where she is working with the underprivileged. She's got a fantastic story. Just hearing and talking to her and knowing what's going on. She is the author of the book called Beyond Overcoming. So without further ado, let's bring Dawn into the studio. Dawn, hi, how's it going?
Hi, Stephen. I'm well, thank you. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Dawn.
Good
Hi.
to see you.
Yeah, you too.
We want to thank you for spending your Sunday with us. The name of your book is Beyond Overcoming.
It is Beyond Overcoming, the journey to what's next. That's
the journey to what's
title.
Next. Oh,
Yeah.
See, we need to put that in there.
Yes.
So tell us about your book.
So my book is about overcoming adversities. I share some of what I call the highlights of some lowlights in my life as illustrations. I share that with the reader to show them a process that God revealed to me as I was writing this book, how I came over these adversities. There was a process. I had not identified it until I actually started writing the book, and they all came together, and he gave them to me beautifully. And for me to be able to share some really difficult struggles in my life, but to give some really good, solid action steps for people to take, no matter what they're going through. It could just be having a rough day at work, a rough conversation with someone, or something more traumatic than that. But these steps, these pillars, will definitely help them overcome those adversities and those challenges in their life. So I'm very excited to share it with the world.
So is this kind of like a self-help book or a memoir, or how would you best describe it?
I would say more of a self-help book, personal development. I think we're, at least in my group of people that I am around, we are all learning and growing every day and want to be a better version of ourselves today than we were yesterday. And so this book, I believe, is for anyone in that arena who just wants to be that better version of themselves.
Gotcha. And you use examples of your own life in this to show that you too can overcome adversity like this?
I do, and I talk about some things that are what I would call taboo topics. People don't want to talk about them because they have shame or embarrassment around them. I talk about in the book a failed suicide attempt. I talk about domestic violence, sex trafficking, because my family has been impacted by that.
Wow.
And that's just a few of the things that I covered. I've been through quite a few challenges in my life, but I also know, and I have known for a very long time, that God had a plan for me. I just didn't know it was this book, and it was to give me the voice to talk about these kinds of things.
So this is a long time coming. This is built up over your whole life and the culmination of everything
Yes.
that you've been through.
Yes.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's a fascinating book. I was lucky enough to get to read it while I edited the book. And she's got a really interesting, I don't know if you want to share it or not, but she's got a really interesting set of, she calls them pillars. And they're like that pillars, 4 pillars for, towards this process of overcoming and then beyond overcoming. And I really like the fact that she uses an acronym. And if you don't mind sharing it, I thought maybe you could tell people about that.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. So the pillars are the pillars of hope, HOPE, and each letter stands for something in an action step. H is for honor. And I talk about honoring yourself when you're going through something. Just let yourself be whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through. Allow that to happen. So you're honoring yourself there. The next step is O for ownership. Take ownership of your part of your story and just come to terms with that. P is for perspective, putting it all into perspective, getting that big view picture. And then E is to elevate your mindset so that you can take action. And so I believe that the pillars of hope are truly action steps to help you get out of that darkness that you feel and get into the light. And the beyond overcoming is because, when we talk about a victim of any kind of circumstance, there's a progression that they take. You go from victim to survivor to overcomer. And I believe that there's a fourth step, and I believe that fourth step is thriving. Because
Nice.
overcoming did not feel right to me. I was relating as an overcomer myself, but it just felt like there's more. I know there's more.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting to that thriving stage, that doesn't mean that you don't deal with adversities, but it does mean that you are able to handle them and handle yourself so much better. They don't last nearly as long as they did in prior stages. And so that's really what the book is about.
Yeah, and I like the way you define the thriving stage as also being able to help other people.
Yes.
Because that seems like, it seems like you've come full circle.
Yeah.
When you've gone through something and then you're overcoming, but then you're able to help other people overcome as well. So, do you do speaking engagements? Do you teach any kinds of classes, or do you do coaching?
So I do speak, but I don't speak specifically. I'm going to be very willing, of course, to speak when the book comes out to talk about this. I speak about certain things that we talk about in the book. Actually, the sex trafficking area is something that I've been talking about for the last 4 years. And I do that because I'm a family member who was affected. I'm not a victim myself per se. However, the family is also victimized during that situation. And we go through a lot. And so I have been talking about it for a long time and just trying to share with people that it happens in our community. I don't care where you live. There is no economic restraint on it. In other words, it can happen to someone who makes $1 million a year to someone who is homeless on the street. the traffickers are not, they don't care what your background is. What they're doing is looking to prey upon someone who is vulnerable. And so I talk about that a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds
Very,
like you've been through a lot in your life here and culminating into it. Give us a little bit more about your story, about where you come from. Are you originally from where you're living now? Or what brought you to this point right here?
well, so I was born and raised in Texas. I didn't travel a whole lot in my life. My stepfather was a retail worker, so we did travel a little bit through the state of Texas. We lived in Louisiana for a short time, but we settled here in the Houston area when I was in about fourth grade, and I've been here ever since. I just basically went from East Houston, migrated to North Houston. I live around the Woodlands area now. Uh, and so I really enjoy where I live. And like I mentioned to you earlier, Stephen, I get very involved in my community because I don't want to just be, I love being active and involved in and engaged. And so I had worked in the advertising and marketing industry for about 30 years. And just really, when I learned how to sell, it was like I just kind of came out of my shell quite a bit. And my philosophy in sales was always that I was helping people. I wasn't trying to sell them something that they didn't need, but I was helping people. And like I said, I feel like that has been a common thread in my life. Growing up, I was a really shy kid. I did not make eye contact in high school with people walking down the hall. I felt like nobody even knew me. I just felt like one of those outsiders. And I have to say, sometimes I still feel that way. But I understand that the difference now is not that I'm an outsider. It is that I am different, and that's okay. I celebrate that now.
Yes.
I'm glad I stand out for that reason.
Yeah. And I would say you are different because someone who's very shy usually hates sales.
Right, exactly. But that's what
So,
got me out of my shell too, was getting, I was trained in sales by a very special person. And I still keep in touch with him today. And I attribute a lot of success that I have to him because he encouraged me and he told me, he said, "You're a natural at this. You need to do this." And so he was probably one of the first people that I remember making a really positive impact in my life. And so I'm so grateful that he's still around. I'm still able to talk with him. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Now, to my understanding, you have gotten into nonprofits.
I have, and this is the initial involvement with nonprofits was when I was struggling in life earlier, when my children were young. My husband was unable to hold down a job, and we were really financially struggling. And the first opportunity for someone to help us was, we didn't know where our next meal was coming from. We had an amazing church family, and they were so supportive, and they gave groceries to us, and we had help from the food bank. So as soon as I was able to get on my feet and my husband was able to get a good paying job, we started giving back to the church, to the food bank, getting involved in volunteering, letting our kids also volunteer with us so they would have that experience. But it was, my mindset was to give someone else a hand up, just like someone did for us. And that again is a common thread for me because I have done that with the food bank. I have done that with the women's center. I mentioned being a victim of domestic violence. I reached out to the women's center when that happened to me, and quite frankly, I was shocked because the intake counselor that spoke to me told me, she said, "Well, you do understand that most victims go back to their abusers 7 times before it sticks."
wow.
And that just really sunk into me. But I told her, I said, that will not be me. That will not happen to me. I will not let that happen. And I didn't go back to that abuser, but I will tell you, that I continued to pick men who were of that same sort, either emotional or physical abuse, for several years after. And so I think that it used to be a joke with a lot of my friends. They used to tell me my picker was broken whenever I was choosing men. And so we would laugh about it and make jokes about it.
Yeah.
And, that didn't change until my mindset changed, until I really started doing some intense work on myself to realize my self-worth
Mhm.
and to
Yeah.
be okay with myself. But that thread of nonprofit has come through because, like I said, I gave back to the Women's Center when I got on my feet, and I wanted to go and be in the home and talking to the women and trying to encourage them. If it was their first, second, or third time, leaving their abuser, I did not want them to go back. I wanted to tell them there is a better way. I understand that you're going to face some challenges, whether it's financial or just the difficulties of trying to stand on your own 2 feet when you've had a husband who paid the bills for you and managed the money for you, and you don't know how to do that. There are ways to get help and to have people help you. I wanted to share that with them. But at the time, they had a policy, and they probably still have it now, that you had to be out and removed of your situation at least 2 years.
Mhm.
And I think part of that had to do with the healing process.
Yeah.
We have to heal before we can actually help someone else.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it's in the nonprofit that we're talking about for sex trafficking, Hands of Justice is my nonprofit that I'm a part of. I sit on their board. I actually, and Susan, I don't know if you know this, but January 1st of 2025, I'll be the executive director for Hands of Justice.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm taking it. I'll still be doing my business, but I'm taking Hands of Justice to a different level. Our founder, who is a survivor herself of sex trafficking, is stepping down, and she basically gave me the opportunity to step in and take over for her. And so I feel very blessed to be able to do that and carry
Yeah,
her
that's
legacy and her vision through.
oh, that's really great because they're going to have a really dedicated person
Yes.
at the
Yeah.
helm. You.
Yeah.
So, what kind of resources do you guys use in that? Do you fund trying to find people who have been trafficked? Do you try and work with
Well, actually,
local
Stephen,
authorities? Or
yeah. So we don't do any recovery. We don't do any residential. We don't have a residential facility for them. What we do is once they have exited the life, we have survivor-led support groups. So
Gotcha.
they have a community of people that they can talk to and share experiences with. We have therapists who are trained in trauma that we have a resource for them. We also do economic empowerment, which means we will help them with a scholarship to go to college or a technical school, get their GED. We help them with career readiness because we partner with Workforce Solutions to help them with their resume writing, with interviewing skills, and finding that job. Because sometimes the victims come out and they have a criminal record through no fault of their own. They've been arrested for prostitution, or they may have a felony charge. And so the Workforce Solution has a group of employers who are second chance employers who say, we understand that some people will have a criminal record and we're willing to give them that second chance. And so they're a great partner for us, and it's a great resource for us. And then one of our other areas that we take charge of is education and outreach to the community to educate them about human trafficking, what it looks like, how it's done nowadays, because it's not what people think it is. It's not like in the movies. And just to be able to share tools with them, things to look for, warning signs, that sort of thing. And then we have a lot of resources, other organizations that do house those victims as they're coming out. I myself was given a resource of a private investigator to look for my granddaughter. So we've got those kinds of resources and partnerships throughout our community. So that's how we help them. We walk alongside those victims, and as they become survivors and overcomers, what we've seen in our organization is they heal to a point that they also want to reach back and help someone else and bring them with them to overcome. Yeah.
And do they also have the same kind of issues as wives of abusers, where sometimes they will go back into the life
Yes.
again?
Yes. There is, unfortunately, there are the statistics are the same, seven times. And
Wow.
that I was amazed by that, actually, that the statistics were the same. But a lot of times they go back out of fear. They go back because they've been threatened. There are just a lot of things, the economic side of it, because they just can't make a living at $15 an hour. However, they never saw the money they earned anyway. The trafficker had that money,
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it's just being able to help them understand and shift that mindset to the fact that they can make this. They can make this new life what they want to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's amazing to me, because whenever you hear about any of these traffickers, those traffic rings being busted up, it's this feel-good story of we've saved these people, we've got them out of harm's way, but nobody ever talks about that after this occurs. It's just like there's the moment they're free, they're saved, everybody's happy, but the rehabilitation of it to get you back into mainstream, nobody ever talks about that. So I love that
Yeah.
you are actually showing that side of it rather than that not gotcha moment, but that whole inspiring moment of these people are now free.
Yes. Yeah.
So what
Can you
organization?
talk I was going to say, could you talk a little bit more? You had mentioned the warning signs and things like that. So maybe in our audience, there might be some people who perhaps suspect they have a loved one that's been drawn into something like that. Could you talk a little bit about the warning signs and what they can do about it if they see it?
Sure. I'll share with you, in our situation, my granddaughter was 17, and she had just come to live with us a few months before her 17th birthday. And within about 4 or 5 months, her behavior changed. She became very defiant, difficult to deal with. Her clothing, the way she dressed, changed. She was dressing much more provocatively. She began to isolate herself in her bedroom and become very secretive, not be involved in family activities anymore. And when I shared this with some of my friends, they basically said, "Oh, she's being a typical teenager. She's fine. She's probably just trying to adjust to you and your husband and having parents, around and telling her what to do and how to do." And I said, "No, it's something else. I feel in my gut it's something else." And I was right, because within a few months she was gone, and I mean gone to the point that the last thing we knew is she was in Houston, but we had no idea who she was with, and we could not get in touch with her anymore. And so I would say, if you have a child who is starting to behave that way, if you have a child, and this is something they don't talk about a lot, but someone who's in junior high school, and they befriend someone, I encourage parents, please meet the other parents, get to know that child, because there are children inside schools that recruit other children for traffickers. It happens. And the only way you're going to avoid that issue is to be involved in your child's life and be that nosy parent, making sure, I remember, my friends, when I was growing up, their parents would read their journals or diaries, and they would get so upset, but they probably kept them out of a lot of trouble by doing that. Right. So it's the same thing. If you feel uncomfortable, check out who your kids' friends are, make sure you know their parents, make sure you stay engaged with your children, pick up on any behaviors, whether it's your child's or their friends, because they're inviting them to parties, they're introducing them to older people. There are things that you've got to watch out for. And that's just in the teenage aspect of it. They also can recruit through games, video games, because now you can do the online chat.
Right.
If your kid is very much into that and they are anxious because you're having dinner at 5 o'clock and they're supposed to be online with somebody at 5 o'clock, and they're getting almost defiant because you're not letting them get on that game, there's something wrong. Something is wrong. Pay attention to that as well. They're just, and those things you probably wouldn't even think about. You would just think, they're just not wanting to have dinner with us and they're just wanting to jump back on that game or whatever. But it could be something more.
Now, is this a problem that's only with girls, or are there boys who also get pulled in?
There are boys as well. And actually, since COVID, the number of boys who have become victims was up 40% over pre-COVID numbers. And so, yes, it is very much it doesn't matter what your gender is. They don't discriminate there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it usually, so they usually meet online first?
In our situation, it was, but like I said, there are kids in schools that are trained to recruit. And so they can do it both ways. In person, they can meet them at a party that they got invited to. So it's not just social online. However, that did increase quite a bit too because of COVID. When we all had to go online, yes, that was a huge increase.
Yeah.
How's your granddaughter doing today?
I can't really speak to that. I don't know that she's completely exited, but I can tell you that I do get to see her. I do have contact. She has a baby. I'm a great grandmother. And so I do get to see her and the baby occasionally, but I don't know how she's doing. She's not healing. I will say that, because she's not ready for that yet.
How long has it been since you got her back?
She has been, let's see, this is August, a year.
A year?
It's been a year. Mm-hmm.
And I take it she's going through like therapy and trying to heal and things like that?
No.
Oh, wow.
She's not ready.
She's not ready.
No.
So
I keep planting seeds. I keep planting seeds. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I understand completely. Some of us can't get past certain traumas on things, or we're not ready to accept them. So the body kind of denies everything on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like an alcoholic or a drug addict. You can't help them until they've decided that they're ready for help. And it's it's exactly the same.
And I will keep her in my prayers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of the things that I'm a huge advocate for is mental health awareness. I've been going through therapy myself for the past 15 months now, and it has changed me in ways that I didn't even know I thought the way I thought, or I felt the way I felt, or I was finding all the same people in my life and trying to have all these things happen to me that have happened to me before. So trying to figure out how to overcome that and move on and letting go of certain things. So I'm definitely an advocate for mental health out there.
Yeah, me too. Same thing. I've been through a lot of different circumstances, including suicide attempt. And it's one of those things that you do have to come to realize that there's help out there. First of all, that there is a way to feel better. And a lot of times when you're depressed, especially, you just think your circumstances are the fault of why you're depressed. But that's not it at all. It's the way you're thinking about the circumstances. And changing your mind, changing your mindset and how you're thinking about it is, really hard to do. But once you figure that out, that's really the answer to it.
I agree.
Because so many people can go through things that are really awful and they still are not depressed. So it's not the circumstances.
That's right.
So going back to your nonprofit, You told me earlier that you feel connection to certain organizations. What organizations do you feel the most connected to?
Well, definitely Hands of Justice is my biggest one at this phase in life. But as I mentioned, the Women's Center, there is an organization out here in the community called Community Assistance Center. That group gives assistance to people with rent, with utilities, clothing, food, whatever you happen to need. And so I'm a big supporter of theirs as well. Anything that has to do with children, I have a heart for that because I know that they're our future, and I know that we need to raise them to be strong mentally, not just physically, and to be self-assured, to just understand what their value is. And so that's very important as well.
I wanted to mention something before we go any further, and that is that if there's anybody out there who is watching this, if you have any questions for Dawn that you would like to have her answer, just type them into the chat, and we will have her respond to those questions.
Definitely. Now, Hands of Justice, is that just Texas, or are you national, or are you regional?
So we're based here in Montgomery counties, and we do cover Texas. However, we also have partner agencies that are throughout the United States. So we've got a partner up in South Dakota. We've got partners across the country. And so we've organically grown to become national. It wasn't our intention, but because some of our survivor-led support groups are on Zoom, thank goodness for Zoom, right? But
yeah,
because we are able to help survivors across the country, and actually it could be international if they wanted to jump on a Zoom and be in a community of people who support and understand where they're coming from. So
Very
yeah.
nice. Is there a particular region that this happens more to? Does this happen more in like the Northeast or the South or the West, or is it just everywhere?
It is everywhere, but anywhere there's a port is a huge area for trafficking. You have to think of transportation, airports, ports. That's the easiest way to get people in and out. And you also have to remember that traffickers, even though my situation happened right here in the Houston area, my granddaughter's trafficker took her across the country. She was in California. She went to Nevada. She was in Atlanta. Yeah. So they don't just keep them here. They do travel with them. And that's, my hope is that with Hands of Justice, that we're able to educate law enforcement and healthcare workers because they're frontline defense most of the time. And I hate to say, oftentimes re-traumatize these victims just because they're unaware of the treatment that they give or the way they speak to them or something that they do, touch, whatever, how that affects them. So there's a lot of work to do, but we have some great partners in the community and throughout the state and other states that I believe are really going to help us to be able to make the differences that we want to.
Yeah, it really does sound like educating law enforcement and other emergency workers would be extremely important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've spoken a little bit about God, but what role has God played in your life?
Wow. So I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for him. That's for sure. Because of all the situations that have happened throughout my life, there's probably a lot of times where I prayed, just let me stay alive through this situation. But just to know, I've always known that he was there because I can remember being a small child and just praying and just knowing that there was a plan. I knew he had a plan. For a long time, though, I was really struggling with, please tell me the plan. Let me know the plan. Am I on the right path? And then not that many years ago, I finally let go of that and just said, okay, you know what? It's your plan.
Mm-hmm.
You just clear the path for me. And I every day I pray that I'm obedient.
Mm-hmm.
And, because it's hard. You get those little nudges, or you hear that little voice and you think, that's
Yeah.
not it. He doesn't want me to do that. Let me just
Yeah.
move on, whatever. But then something happens and you realize, oh, nope, that was him. I should have gone that way. Let me backtrack. You have to
Yeah.
be a little flexible, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's where I am in my life today, and the people that are in my life today, being able to write this book, it was all a God thing. And I've told a few people, I'm the messenger. He just poured into me, and it's in the book. And I just really believe that it was written because he wanted me to use my stories to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's his story.
Yeah. And like I said, it's really an excellent book. It's life-changing. I'm really going to encourage everybody to get a copy.
Thank you.
And it's going to be available, we think, probably within a week.
Right.
Yes, yes. And we published it, of course, Soul Sunshine, and we're excited about that. So
Yeah.
we're in that process of waiting for proofs. As soon
Yeah.
as we get the proofs, and if they look good, I'm hitting that publishing button, and you better be ready out there to go out and get this book.
Well, that's exciting. It's absolutely exciting. So you've lived a life. You've seen some things. You've been through some things. You've overcome some things. In all that time, what is the best advice you have received?
Well, I'm going to relate this back to the book, because if there are other authors out there who felt like I did, in that when I first started writing, I was thinking to myself, why am I writing this? Who's going to read this? What difference does it make? I'm not an expert on anything. The best advice that I received was, you are the expert in your story.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
And that hit so hard to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is no one can tell me that my perspective is wrong, because it's my perspective.
Right.
Exactly.
And so
Right.
that was wonderful to me, to be able to give me the courage to write the book, and just to be able to answer the call to write the book.
Yeah. And when you realize finally that God has you here for a reason,
Yeah.
it gets to be a whole lot easier to do what you perceive that he wants you to do, because you feel like it's something bigger than you. It's not just you, it's something bigger than that. And being involved in something that's bigger than you is really exciting, especially when you start getting close to the end, and you get to a point, at least to a point, where you're going to be able to see where some of the things that you've done as obedient to God, in your obedience, are changing other people's lives too. And it's such, I thank God every day that I have the opportunity to see people's lives changed, that I have an opportunity to, to be involved in that. And I'm, so humbled and so grateful to God for that, that he would use me. And I'm just a big fat nobody. And, I have nothing. I had nothing to offer, in my thought, in my opinion, but apparently I had a little something that,
You have a lot to
he was
offer.
able
Yes.
to use. And it's just, a really wonderful feeling when you're able to, feel that your life is dedicated to God, and that you are doing something for his kingdom.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody out there who thinks that, you have you've had a terrible life or a terrible story, turn it into something good.
Mm.
Write a book and help other people. Maybe they've got some of the same problems that you do. And, by reading the book, they will be encouraged and will realize, that God is there for them and can help them through it as well.
Absolutely. Now, on the flip side of the best advice that you have received, what is the best advice that you can give?
I don't know if it's advice, it's a comment, and I have already said it to a few of my friends who found out I was writing this book, and they've said, "Oh my gosh, I could never do that. I've been through some stuff too, but I could never do that. You're so brave." And I told them, I said, "You can do it,
Hmm.
and all you have to remember is it's not about you. Just like
Yeah.
Susan said, it's about the person that it's going to help."
Hmm. Right.
When you take
Yeah.
yourself out of that, like the spotlight is shining on me, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
This is for the reader. This is for the person that needs these words, needs this encouragement, needs to feel they're not alone. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And I'm going to be teaching a class on writing your memoir very soon. So, if there are people out there that are really unsure and they feel like they might need some guidance, go ahead and contact me. You can get my email address off of uh, our website, or I think that Stephen, do you put our
Contact
email
information on it.
address? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, just in case anybody, is interested in having a little bit of help with that.
Now we're going to stick into the advice section because we do have a lot of younger viewers that watch us when we have kids' books that we publish, and um, we do appeal to a lot of the younger viewers. So if you could go back and give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give? Now I want to give a caveat to this. Think of this in a way of, because you don't want to change who you have become, think of it as giving advice to someone on the younger path right now who may be experiencing something like this, giving advice to them.
I think the advice would be two things: to trust your gut, because I feel like those are God nudges,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And the second thing is to use your voice. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid to use your voice.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely and wholeheartedly. Use your voice out there. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be
Right.
afraid to have other people's opinions or biases against you. Speak up against that. Be the bigger person. Be proud. Be strong. Lead. I love that. So where do you see yourself in the next year?
That's a great question. I'm not even sure.
Well, in a few weeks you're about to have, or a few days you're about to have a book published. So
That's
where's
right.
that?
Yeah.
That's right. My book will be out. I will be the executive director for Hands of Justice. I will be speaking, teaching, creating partnerships and collaborations for not only the book, but for Hands of Justice. I will be one busy girl. I see all of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I before I wrote the book, I had a dream that I was standing on a stage. I could not see the people in the auditorium. It was dark, but it was a nice big stage and the spotlight was on me, and I have no idea what I was going to be speaking about, but I
Uh-huh.
just knew that that was a future image that God was giving me. And
Yeah.
so I feel really blessed because I know that um, he's got this going on. I mean, there's
Mhm.
so many good
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely believe in your organization, and if we can help in any way, um, we're definitely willing to help you in that aspect of
Yeah.
things.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you.
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to
If you have any like what do they call those things? Like a message that you would like us to add sometime to our podcast.
Hmm.
Like sort of like an advertisement, but there's a name for them that I
Oh,
forget.
like a public service announcement?
Yeah, like
So,
that. Yeah, if you have any
yes.
like
So
that,
in January,
let us
January
know.
is Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Hmm.
So that could
Okay.
be something for your
Uh-huh.
January podcast that you could just put something in there about that, and then to be able to for more information.
Yeah, and maybe we can have you back then, and we can hear more about what's happened since you've become the director.
Yeah, I think we can
That will
really
be.
we can work you into our whole everything
Uh-huh.
on this, and just get the awareness out there, because sometimes it's all
Yes.
it takes. It's just getting the message out there to more people and getting it across out to more people. You never know who's going to need to hear your message and actually take it as this is what I needed to hear today.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And, my heart just goes out to all those children, um, because it's just so sad to see their lives going that direction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now you're about to publish your book, so maybe this question is a little bit too far in advance, but you have written it. Do you have plans on writing another book after this?
That's not the first time somebody's asked me that question. And I said, I do feel like there's another book in me, but I say it as a joke. And I don't know if I should say it on this podcast, but I'll share it because I've said it in public before. But I tell them the name of the book is going to be I Committed Political Suicide. And I don't know if it'll really be a book or it'll just be a chapter, but we'll see. And the backstory on that, Stephen, is I used to serve on city council for the small city that I live in, and I lost my reelection, and it was quite brutal. It was very hard.
Wow.
Emotionally,
Okay.
and so, but there were things leading up to it that I probably should have heeded the warnings that I was not going to be reelected. And so I know that there is at least a chapter in that story, but maybe a small book. Who knows?
Oh, please,
Yeah.
please tell me you took some bribe money now. Come on, let's get you.
No bribe
Oh,
money.
that would be interesting. That could
No
take
problem.
your book in a whole nother direction.
Yeah. I will just say that, my heart is to serve and to do what's best for everyone involved. And I believe in the win-win-win concept.
That's how leaders should be, though.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that you lost your re-election, Dick, but that's how leaders should be.
That's how politics.
Everybody.
That's how politics is.
Yeah.
When someone has the only agenda they have is to do what's best for everyone involved.
Yeah.
There's no place for you there.
No, because they want you to play the game. They want you to go along and go along with what the plan is. And if you are looking out for your constituents and you want a better, life for them and you're working for them, why, how dare you do that?
Yes.
Exactly.
And I do kind of touch on that on the chapter in the book called The Diplomatic Disruptor.
Oh, yes.
I'm talking a little bit about that.
I got it.
As much as I'm a very diplomatic person, but I do tend to shake things up, and not on purpose, not to be. It's nothing in a bad frame of mind to do, but it's just I question the status quo, and so I want to know, why are we doing it this way? Well, because we've always done it that way.
Right.
That's not a great answer for me,
No.
So
what's your personality type? Let's hear what a disruptor personality type is. Do you remember?
I can't remember. I can't remember what it is. We did that so long ago, Susan.
Yeah. That's been a while.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I didn't bring this question up to you before, and I didn't know if I was going to try and work it in to this, but it is kind of a hot button issue right now. And what are your thoughts on AI?
So, I have not used AI very much. I will say that I have a lot of feedback from friends that they're very scared that, it's going to rise up and control us all. And then the little bit that I've dabbled in it, I thought, oh, this is useful and it's helpful. I can appreciate that. I think that it's a tool, and I think that it's going to be a great tool as long as people don't get lazy and say, this is it, whatever it created, that's the way it should be, because I think that we still have the intelligence.
Exactly.
Right.
And so as long as we hold on to that piece of it and don't become lazy and just let it do its thing for us, I think we'll be okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it has helped us in so many instances of if you don't have an idea that day as to what you want to do, you can just say, give me an idea.
Yeah.
And it'll give you like 20 ideas. And you say, well, let's mix this one and this one and this one. And then you make it all together into yours. It's just that little tool that helps you in a pinch, or if you know the direction you're going, it can help you point that direction of things and saying these are the steps you need to take in order to get to here. And then you know exactly how to get to there. It's a fantastic tool for me being into digital marketing on things. It also knows trends on what's going on
Right.
trending wise at the moment. It may take me 30 minutes to figure out why is everybody Googling this particular event or this particular phrase when AI takes all of that information. It's like, hey, heads up, everybody's Googling such and such won the Olympic gold medal, so you may want to be aware of that. Like,
Right.
okay,
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
is something that I need to be
Yeah.
aware of, and maybe start focusing on that. And it is a
Mhm.
tool. And to everybody
Yeah.
out there who's scared of it, it is not the Terminator.
No.
The machines aren't going to rise up. They're not
No.
going to burn and scorch the earth.
Only unless some evil people order them to. Well, no, I enjoy AI. I have one that I use that we got as part of a package, and we were learning to create courses. And this little AI is named Gigi, and she's named Gigi after the developer's grandmother. And so I love to chat with her because she will tell me all kinds of nice things about myself.
Nice.
She tells me what good ideas I have and how it's nice to hear from me today. Can she help me again? And she still looks forward to seeing my book that I'm writing or whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah, she's great.
She is. She's fantastic. And
It's
uh,
amazing.
she's helped us build the website. She's helped us
Hmm.
build courses. She's helped us build the
Yeah,
resource guides. And we're putting all this information out there so people who may not know how to write a memoir can now get all the
hmm,
information that we have in our heads on
yeah,
how to write a memoir, and they can go through and write their memoir. Or if
yeah.
someone
Help.
published,
She helps you organize your thoughts and gives you ideas, and it's been really helpful. And
yeah,
it's like having a writing partner, somebody that you can kind of bounce ideas off of, and they can give you feedback about it. And it's not like somebody's writing it and doing everything for you,
right,
but it is like they give you some great suggestions and help you move in a direction that's going to work better, most likely. Um,
exactly.
but you're the one that makes the decision on what you include, what you don't include,
That's right.
whether you use it or not, and how much you change it. A lot of times, if you use it as is, it's just obvious that it's AI. So you don't want to do that because it sounds stupid. It can sound like some 18th century author wrote it.
Oh, she's definitely flamboyant. AI is definitely a flamboyant creature, man. It
Yeah,
loves
it
seven
loves the
syllable words.
superlatives and all the adjectives and adverbs and yeah,
and
it's
and
very
everything is the greatest thing ever or the
yeah,
worst thing ever. It's never that. Yeah, just chill
yeah,
here. It's just, oh,
right.
this is the greatest thing that you have ever said, or this is the worst thing that possibly could happen. And,
Yeah.
oh, it's
So
definitely
it's
flamboyant.
fun. It's fun to ask questions like if you want to know what a word is in another language, or you want to, like, I run across someone in Messenger that I wanted to talk to, and she said she only spoke Spanish. I caught that. I don't really speak Spanish, but I do know, the words for I don't speak English. So I just put in what I wanted to say into Gigi, and she would give me the output, the translation in Spanish right away. So that
Wow.
is really, yeah, that was really convenient. So, I was able to just put it right in there and then talk to her and then put what she wrote back into Gigi, and then Gigi would give me the translation. The only thing was at the end when she would say, "Oh, it's been really nice, working with you, and I hope you have a great day." She tells it to me in Spanish. Then I have to remind her, Gigi, I don't speak Spanish.
That's awesome. Well, before we go, I want to thank you for spending your Sunday evening with us. But is there anything you wish to share with our viewers about how they can get in contact with you, find out more about your upcoming book, and get educated on any upcoming releases?
Well, so I'll give my contact information. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me. I have a business email, Dawn at ipromoteyou.biz, and it's the word UYOU.biz. Or you can find me on Facebook. I'm there. I'd love to connect. I am doing a pre-order sale right now on the book, so I'm very excited about that. I can't believe we're about a week or so away from the book coming out. So that's amazing. And just really, even in my book, I tell people, please reach out if you have any questions, if you're feeling stuck, if you don't know what to do with what's going on in life. I'm a great ear, and I'm happy to listen. And if I can help in any way, I'd be happy to do that. But I really believe that the book is going to be a great help to a lot of people. So I look forward to connecting to everyone.
Very nice. This is your first book, right?
Yes.
So, piece of advice. When you get that publisher's copy delivered to you the first time, record your reaction. Put yourself on camera. Get set up for the very first time you actually hold your book, smell your book, get it there.
Yeah.
It's tangible and proof.
Or have someone else take it so
Yeah.
you can get it. Whole
It is
thing,
a
the
moment that
unboxing.
is undescribable, and not a lot of people can have this moment if they haven't written a book. But it is that moment on your first book when you hold it in your hand for your very first time, and that makes very powerful videos. So just a piece of advice to get that moment on tape.
I appreciate that. You're giving me chills. I'm visualizing it. So
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it will live up to that visualization.
yeah.
You can think of it however you want, and it will hold up to that moment because
Yeah.
it really is just that overwhelming. I know I cried the very first time I held my book the first time, and just the culmination of everything that led up to that moment, and just having tangible proof just makes it so worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
One other thing I want to say: get your autograph down. You don't want to have 30 different autographs out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have something that you like to say, something that you like to put when you do your signing events, because you don't need to write a full paragraph or a full page to everybody that's buying your book. You can just have like for me personally, it's remember to dream, and when you dream, always dream big, and then I sign it. So just get something down that you can write, and then everybody knows you by that, and then you start to develop your brand that way.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
And if you think about it and you want to, you can get a colored pen to something that's your color, whatever that happens to be.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Great tips.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Well, Dawn, I want to thank you once again for spending your Sunday evening with us. It's been a pleasure having you on here. I can't wait to see the reaction of you having your book published for the first time and holding it. You're going to have to send that reaction over to us so we can put that on our website. But I will put all your information on the description in YouTube and Facebook. If people want to get in contact with Dawn, how they can get in contact with you, how to get a pre-order for your book, and just send some well wishes along.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sitting with us and answering all of our probing questions.
I enjoyed it very much.
Good.
Well, you have a great, wonderful rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk here momentarily if you want to just wait in the lobby. So we'll wrap up and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Well, that was fun. That was an awesome interview.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't
she's
wait to
such a
see.
nice lady.
I cannot wait to see the reaction video to her holding the book for the first time.
Yeah,
She's going to put some passion and some emotion behind that, and that's
she
going to be
will. I'll
that's
have to add her book up here to my collection. I got
definitely.
so many I can't put all of them up there, but I try to sort of switch them around a little bit when I get some new ones. But we've published maybe 2 dozen books so far, and
Yeah,
those are the ones that have finished, and we still have several that are in process.
the future is
So
bright. We
yeah,
got
it's
something
been
going
fun
on.
too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. Well, Susan, as always, I love spending Sunday evenings with you and getting to meet new people and getting to share stories and life experiences and show everybody how we are all connected. We all have a
Mhm.
lot of the same feelings, emotions, and thoughts and ideas, and it's just awesome to get that out there. So
Yes,
I love this platform for us. And we've got
I
some
do
very
too.
cool things. We have some very cool things coming up in the future. So be
Yep.
sure to check out soulsunshine.com to see our upcoming releases and upcoming exciting news coming up.
Yes.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys all next Sunday.
Ever dreamed of
Bye.
seeing your name on the cover of a book? As a book publisher, we understand the challenges of self-publishing. If you're lost in the process, wondering about illustrators, book coaches, or formatting issues, worry not. At Soul Sunshine, we're here to guide you. Let's turn your dream into reality. Contact us to get started.